Hello there, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in again. And with this video, I want to focus on praise and lack of praise. Okay, so it's something that a lot of my clients, they often sort of like say they think that their parents didn't love them because they didn't praise them, enough for things. And when I think about my own upbringing, um, and my parents, uh, you know, my parents didn't really praise us. We were a big family for a start, and my parents came from such poverty. And I was a baby when they came to England. They came from real bad poverty because of after the war, the partition of India and Pakistan, and um, and then having lost everything, having to start again. And so when I was growing up, my parents, their focus was work, very much so. Work, earning money, and making sure everybody was looked after. So, their attitude was not like, just looking after themselves. They helped all their families that were like literally, sort of living like homeless, so much poverty. And so I grew up knowing that, I could see how poor all our families were that we left behind, and how, we had the opportunity, well, my parents, when we were growing up, had the opportunity to work and at least have food on the table. And so it wasn't really something I thought about so much. I did at times when say if I visited a friend and I saw their parents praising them, and then I would kind of feel it a little bit to think like, oh, well, I didn't really get much praise um, myself. And but it would soon go away because I could see that it wasn't that my parents didn't want to. They were growing up as children. They grew up in such poverty. Working, survival was their main aim. There was no space and time or room for praise, and so it's not something that would have entered, into their head, to just kind of do amongst all the other stress and pressure that they were under. So it kind of really, I didn't really let that get to me until I began doing some major healing work on myself much later. And I was looking at sort of like, healing my inner child, and that's when it actually came up for me. Um, and then I had to heal that, and I, learned to start giving praise to myself. It was very difficult for a long time. I felt uncomfortable with it for a long time. Even if other people gave me praise, I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know how to take it because it wasn't something I was used to. And so when I was learning to give praise myself, it actually took me a very long time to start accepting, telling myself. And I kind of like also began to learn that this is all part of loving yourself as well, and that it's important, for self-esteem and self-confidence. Um, and also, it really kind of interestingly, it really hit me because when I went to India for the first time, I was 21 at the time. It was my first journey with my family back to India after having, been born there as a baby and then being brought up here in England and then going back at the age of 21. Um, I met my grandmother and my grandfather, my dad's parents, for the first time. And my grandmother, she was full of praise, so much praise with everything. She was just praising all the time and just being so grateful about things, you know. And so I saw another side. And then, you know, it really kind of like dawned on me that when my grandmother was growing up, times were different. Everything was okay. They didn't have the war situation that my parents had to go through. And so, you know, I actually asked her as well if, you know, her parents were like that. And then she actually took me to go and meet her mother, who was still alive at that time. And, you know, so I went with her to go and meet my great grandmother, which was amazing. And she as well was so full of praise. And, you know, then I could see that, you know, sometimes when people don't praise us, it's not because they don't want to, it's most probably because A, they haven't learnt how to do it, and B, because maybe they're so self absorbed with other things that are going on for them, you know. So there I was, my great grandmother and my grandmother, who knew how to praise so much and so lovingly. And it was like, wow, you know, I love this. I love this. I just, you know, used to just love listening to them and hearing them. And it was amazing. And, you know, then when I asked my own mum, I said, well, you don't praise me much. She looked quite sad, bless her. You know, it was almost like it most probably touched something deep in her. And I could just tell by the expression on her face, you know. Um, and so I kind of like, you know, had a deeper understanding. And what I want to share really here is that sometimes we really have to step into other people's shoes and understand where they're coming from and maybe why they didn't do something or haven't been doing something, you know, and and how we then can change it for ourselves, like I did later on, as I shared at the beginning, my journey of healing and then learning to praise myself. And now I can do it quite easily when I feel a little bit sort of, you know, wobbly about something that might be going on. I start to focus on the positive of how I can give myself my good points and praise myself for all the things that I have done. Because, you know, I have come through so much and achieved so much and really have motivated and pushed myself to do it, you know, because a lot of the girls I went to school with, you know, they ended up getting married and, you know, sort of stayed in the like the expectation community and cultural expectations of, you know, following the norm. Whereas for me, you know, yes, I did initially follow the norm, but I, um, you know, broke away from so many things, and parts of it I will, you know, share in and out throughout the videos, so that it helps as well. But this one was on praise, so I want to sort of keep it there. And so if you feel that, you know, you are lacking in compliments and praise, start doing it yourself. It works, believe me. Um, Start small, you know, maybe something each day. You know, it could be just something like, I love my hair or I love my nails. You can say, well, you can say to, you know, like I could say to myself, oh, wow, Jazz, I just love your nails. Oh, so pretty, or something like that. You know, it's because everybody's different and how something how we do things can just vary a little bit as well, you know. It's that self-talk. So uh, give yourself some praise. Give yourself some praise. Give yourself some self-love. You deserve it. Everybody deserves it. And if you have already started doing it, please share with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, take care, God bless, and speak to you soon.